Welcome to the MVP Show. Before we chat with today's guest, there's a quick message from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge. I read once that the best way to be successful is help other people become successful, which is why I provide this program for free. If you want to be mentored in the next 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, feel free to go to nz365guy.com/mentoring. Crazily enough, there's already 300 people enrolled for the next intake. So, crazy good times. With that, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from Georgia in the US of A. He works as an architect at Hitachi Solutions America. He runs a YouTube channel called Dynamics Post. He's an avid woodworker, mainly turning items on his lathe like bowls and pens. He also enjoys leatherwork and has made a wallet that he actually carries today of his own design. Outside of work, he enjoys creating things using his hands rather than technology. You can check him out on Twitter at Scott_Gaines or at his blog, dynamicspost.com. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Oh, thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Did I get that all right on the intro?
Every bit of it was right. Every bit of it was correct.
Wow. I always like to start these things off and, because we've not met before. You're an MVP that has come into the program since the last MVP summit that was in person, which is, of course, an increasing number these days. Tell us a bit about food, family, and fun for you.
Yeah, so I've been married to my wife. We're going on 18 years now, and no children, but we just been trying to make it through this pandemic mess. Just trying to make it through.
Favorite foods in Georgia? Tell me a bit about Georgia. I don't know much about Georgia.
Yeah, so I live a little bit northeast of Atlanta, Georgia. We live. There's a lake nearby that we've got a boat and we hang out on the lake all the time. It's just a great place to live. We get our four seasons. We get a fall and a summer. Really nice place to live. Really great place to live. I've lived here all my life. I actually live in a town called Gainesville. It is not named after us.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Is it like, did your ancestors build a town?
No, it's named after a Mexican War general, American Mexican War general. But yeah, my family's actually lived here since before it was named that.
Wow, incredible. So interesting fun fact, I have a hunting and fishing license for At
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah, how random is that?
Yeah,
right?
no.
I was at a conference there. I went to Gus Gonzalez took us to a gun range, and I wanted to shoot a 50 caliber rifle. And so you weren't allowed to shoot that in the gun range unless you had a hunting and fishing license for Georgia. So I had to get a hunting and fishing license in Georgia to be able to shoot.
Did they ask you any questions, or did they just take your money and just said, here?
Just take the money, sign the form. There you go. You got your license. Thank you very much. Yeah. Awesome. Well done. I don't know. As in, I know that every time I pulled the trigger, it was like $12 a shell because they're big shells, and that's a powerful gun. I've never, been in a situation where you can see the sound wave coming off the end of the gun every time you pulled the trigger. And of course, you couldn't hold it single-handed; it had to be tripoded. It was so large.
Yeah, that is definitely a large round going down range.
Yeah. It's a sniper rifle, I think. It is.
It is. It'll go through a cinder block wall, a concrete block wall.
Yeah. It was amazing. Definitely had to have earmuffs on for that one.
Yep.
So that was my I've been to Georgia probably, I don't know how many times, 3-4 times because of the conference center in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. So I live, like I said, I live about an hour northeast of Atlanta. I generally tell people Atlanta because nobody knows where my town is. But so it's about an hour northeast up by, we've got the lake up here, and the Atlanta Falcons football team's camp is right here too. So.
Wow. Very cool. And is the lake, does it get like seasonally, what happens? Does it freeze over, or is it always?
No, it never gets that cold here. Like we may get one snowfall a year here. But yeah, I mean, we get down in the 30s in the wintertime, so it never gets really, really cold. So we can use it from about April to October,
Yeah. Okay. So Awesome. And so you don't really go to the ocean there, though, right?
Yeah, actually, the Gulf is about 6 or 8 hours from us. So it's a weekend trip. But yeah, we'll go down there.
Nice, nice. Tell us about how you got into tech. What was your journey?
Yeah, so I started off. I was working for a small auto parts company, and I was going to college at the same time, and my degree was in computer science. So I kind of they did a system change, and I led that system change. I did that, and the vendor that did it actually recruited me. They saw that I was pretty good at it, and was able to help them migrate systems. So a little bit after that was done, I went to work for that first vendor, and it wasn't a Dynamics vendor. It was they did warehousing. It was an ERP system, but it was a kind of homegrown system. And then I worked for them a while for 6-7 years, and then I switched to another company that did the same sort of thing, automotive and warehousing software. And then I finally ended up at Hitachi. I've been at Hitachi for 7 years. Initially started off with their field service program. They had their own custom field service before Microsoft had their.
Yeah, they had their own field service system right before Microsoft bought the Field One product.
Yeah, so I did that for a while, and then I transitioned over to fully to D365.
Yeah. So are you mainly working with Field One now? Dynamics 365 Field Service. Is that the main tool, or are you right across the stack?
No, I'm actually I'll do anything, but mainly I'm on the finance and operations side now. Like that's kind of where I was more of an operations person. The field service was kind of I'll call it a diversion. I wanted to try something new, and so I tried that for a while, and then when that kind of went away, I went back to the finance and operations side.
Yeah. So F&O, as we were calling it up till recent times, what's been the change there? Like because I'm not as close to that side of the stack as obviously you are. And tell me about why the separation from Microsoft and going away from calling it finance and operations. What are you seeing the trend or what's happening in the finance side of things with Dynamics 365?
Well, it's funny. Everybody, even in Microsoft, it seems like they're still calling it finance and operations. You'll hear every once in a while they'll say finance if you're only talking about finance, but if you're talking about the supply chain, it's always referred to as F&O. And I think that's because you can't run the supply chain without the finance side. It's not like any of the CE apps where it can be standalone for field service, for example. If you're going to run supply chain, you have to have the finance side, so they have to go together.
So the weird thing is, like, if you look on their website, they are very specifically now calling out Dynamics finance as a thing rather than, they used to have it under the category of finance and operations. So if I look at finance right now on Microsoft's website, it says, at a high level heading, you've got customer data platform, supply chain, sales, small, medium business, service, HR, marketing, finance, and commerce and project management. And really, finance and operations, correct me if I'm wrong, is now finance, project management, commerce, supply chain, and HR. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's exactly right. But I still hear everybody at Microsoft every conference or every call I've been on, any product group, they always call it F&O. So I don't know if I don't know if it's just a hard thing to stop calling it that, or if maybe it's officially they're just calling it finance, but everybody still refers to it as finance and operations.
So correct me then if I'm wrong. If you want to implement project management, do you still need finance? If you're going to implement commerce, do you still need finance? If you're going to implement supply chain, you've said it still needs finance, right? Is it the same with HR?
Yeah, because basically anything that's transactional is tied to the general ledger. So you pretty much have to have that general ledger in place before you can do anything. Like whenever we start a project, the first sprint of a project is always the chart of accounts, because you can do no other work until you get that thing in there.
Yeah. So really, all the other things, to implement any of them, you still need to have finance in place.
Yeah, as far I don't know of any module that's a F finance module that you can implement.
Does project management have a dependency? Just because, for a while, which they're now calling project operations, the predecessor, I know, played in the CE space for a while or was built direct on, what we call the Dataverse nowadays. Do you know whether there's a dependency for that on finance?
If it's the actual projects module inside, like it's I think it's changed recently. I was under the impression that it was a CE app and but now I think they're using the projects module inside of finance and operations. And if that's the case, you do have to have finance set up because you have project categories that are all tied to general ledger accounts in there. So it's got to be set
It's so hard to keep up to speed with.
Yeah, no.
We've been in the game for a long time, and but yeah, constant changes, constantly things to learn. What about? Have you had any experience with the commerce side of things?
I haven't, just to see it. I've not actually used it. Most of the stuff I do a lot of warehouse management stuff. I'm heavily involved in that. The biggest changes I've seen is their the Power Platform and starting to integrate some of those apps into the finance and operations and be able to embed that stuff. That's some of the bigger areas that I'm seeing a lot of changes in.
Interesting. Have you done anything with guides? I see that sits under supply chain nowadays. The whole training tool with HoloLens, is it? Have you done anything there?
I have not. I haven't had a customer yet that's willing to make that investment. You kind of have to have the investment to do that. Again, it looks really, really interesting. Some of the things you can do with it. I think field service heavily uses those.
Yeah, but the thing is, even buying it, right? Didn't the US government buy just about everything that Microsoft will produce from a HoloLens a while back? I don't see many people, in the last year or so talking much about HoloLens.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't had even a customer ask about it. It's the weird. I mean, it's a neat technology, but I think it's just maybe the price point of it is expensive. I heard one time how much those things were, but I think the entry point of it is so expensive.
So it's about $3,000, isn't it?
Yeah,
for a device. But heck, I look at my computer next to me; it's $6,000. A custom built job. So I don't know that it's out of the realms, particularly in a large organization. Who knows?
I've always wondered how fragile that thing is too. Like if somebody dropped it, is it ruggedized and
you'd want it insured, right?
Yes.
For real. So you're in Hitachi. I see. Like how long ago did you get your MVP?
This is my second year. I've just started my second year, so yeah.
So how did it come about? Who nominated you? How did you get in? What was your interest, or what did you know about the MVP program prior to being nominated and ultimately entering?
Yeah, Joel Lindstrom nominated me, and where it came about was he had a couple of seminars a couple years ago talking about the MVP program, and what it was. I don't think at the time I even knew what it was. Really, I'd heard of it, but I didn't really know what it was. And I had been doing some stuff on YouTube and just posting various videos on there. But we went over, what it was and kind of what you needed to do and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of started doing it. I wasn't really committed to it at first, but then after a while, I started posting something every week. And then really it took about a year of posting every week. And then he nominated me and, I filled out the forms and about 90 days later I had it. So it was great.
Fantastic. And you've got a cranking YouTube channel. I love you're on point with your thumbnails, your cover art, that type of thing. What's your process for YouTube? How do you go from, if you like, where do you even, like, one of the questions I get a lot, people go, I can't think of what to write on, or I can't think what to do a YouTube on. Like, how do you discover what you're going to do your next episode on?
Yeah, and that's funny. Everybody asks me that. It's like, how do you do this every week? And really, it's anything that I Google is fair game. So you can kind of look at the channel history and see the videos that I'm doing, and you can kind of tell what I've been working on. So I do them a little bit in advance, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in advance. But within 2 to 3 weeks, you can tell exactly what I'm working on. So anything that I if I'm working on something and I don't know how to do it, I Google it and then I write it down on a pad, and that becomes a video topic. And then, I mean, basically the way I do it is I try and do it, keep about a 2-week buffer. I won't say that I post it goes live every Thursday morning. I won't say I haven't been up at Wednesday night at 11 o'clock trying to get it done. But I try to keep about a 2-week buffer. But generally what I do is Monday and Tuesday, it's kind of a setup and kind of making sure everything's working. I use trial environments. So, you have to set those up every time, basically. So Monday, Tuesdays, I'm setting it up and kind of getting everything ready and I kind of write down the demo. I don't script it out, but I kind of, just get a basic understanding of what I'm going to do and what I'm going to say. And then I'll record it on Wednesday night, and then I'll do my editing on Thursday and, or sometimes on the weekends. So it's really not bad. I mean, I just try and make them a little bit better every time. When I started, I had no idea how to do any kind of video stuff. That's kind of what I wanted to learn how to do. So I started from nothing and, just trying to make them a little better every week.
I like it. So what's your tools of choice? What's the software you use? What are all the moving parts you use to create your videos?
For my screen recording, I use Snagit. So I can use Snagit. They've got Camtasia too, but it's more over the top than I need. So I use Snagit to do the screen recordings, and then I've got a Canon M50 camera that I record on, and then I've got a Rode boom mic that I do the video on, and then a Rode pod mic for the screens. And then for editing, I used to have a cheap editor, but I've switched over in the past 6 months to DaVinci Resolve. I really like it.
Is that a Windows-based app or?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I looked at Premiere, but Premiere's like $50 a month, and I didn't hear great things about it. So, and DaVinci Resolve was a free tool that does basically everything.
No, wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really good tool, and so yeah. I mean, that's the basic process. I just put everything together, and there's audio editing and trying to make it look color balancing and that kind of stuff, trying to make it look good. Still learning, but it's a lot of fun.
And what about your thumbnails? How are you building those?
Through Camtasia. I don't know if you've heard of that before. It's just a online tool.
Camtasia?
Yeah.
Isn't that the recording?
No, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Canva.
Canva. Yeah, sorry.
Canva. Yeah. I was going to say.
As soon as I said it, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. What feature is that? Okay, Canva. Canva makes sense.
Yeah, Canva. So I use Canva to do that, and they've got templates in there, and I've got a color scheme that I use and a font that I use, and that's actually the hardest thing for me because I've got no design skills whatsoever. So.
You honestly, I think you're selling yourself short there because these thumbnails are on point for YouTube.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's the part that I really struggle with. Sometimes I'll sit there for 2 hours looking at a screen trying to think of what the thumbnail needs to look like because it's just not my wheelhouse.
That's so cool. Are you using anything to track your stats and whatnot on YouTube? Yeah,
YouTube has analytics. To be honest with you, when I first started the channel, I would look at it almost every day, but now I try not to look at it every day because really, I mean, you can make yourself nuts with those things, and generally anyway, the videos that I make them because I want to make them, and I think they would be good to see. I don't try to make videos just because I think somebody's going to like them, or I think I'm trying to make stuff that was useful to people, but there's certain things that I can do, like overview videos get more views than the specific stuff. But the specific stuff's important because people are looking for that kind of information. So those don't always get the most views, but they're the most helpful, I think. But yeah, I mean, like the past, like I think the last time I looked, I've got 2,000 subscribers on the channel now, and in the past 12 months, I think there was something like 6,000 hours of watch time on there, which is just incredible to me,
Yeah. One of the tools I found really effective is called TubeBuddy, which is a browser plugin for YouTube.
Yeah, I've actually used them before. Yeah.
Yeah. what I like is not so much the stats piece. I mean, heck, that's cool. But what I like is around recommendation of the keywords for the videos, and also making sure that it's almost like SEO optimized for YouTube. So people can find it, because, it's a hard work. If you want sometimes a precise video on something, YouTube now is so big, it can be hard finding what you're looking for unless it's been tagged up well.
Yeah, and that TubeBuddy does do the SEO very well. It'll even look at your description, when you're typing out your description and optimize that for you. So it's a really good tool.
Awesome. Oh, look at that. The time has flown. I usually only do this for about 15 to 20 minutes. But man, that's been so interesting, hearing about your journey and tech, and of course your YouTube channel. I'll make sure we put this all in the show notes, and so people can go check you out at the right time. I always like to wrap up with a few quick fire questions. Are you ready for yours?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Okay. They're random.
Okay. The answers will be too.
Great. What was the first thing you remember buying with your own money?
It's probably a candy bar, probably a Kit Kat candy bar.
Nice. How do you get in the way of your own success?
Just by not doing it. Like, thinking about stuff and thinking you want to do something, but just putting it off and not actually doing it.
How did you like that? Go from a real shallow question to a massively deep question. Okay, last one. What's something you did as a child that your parents still retell the story today?
I don't know. Let's see. Golly. That's a really tough one.
That's all right.
You've got me stumped.
What I'll do, I'll sub it in with another question that is of interest to me.
Okay, all right.
What do you think the most important thing a Microsoft partner can do to create an exceptional culture in a COVID world?
The biggest thing that I think this year that we've been able to show is that we can do pretty much anything online. Like, the tools there now are so great that you can do. There's nothing there that you most of the time we used to have to travel all the time, but there's nothing now that we can't do online.
How does a partner create, how do you feel connected to Hitachi? How do you feel connected to your colleagues, and feel that sense of community inside your business? That's probably what I'm asking.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. As far as connected to the colleagues, I mean, Hitachi is just such a great place to work. Like, everybody, I've been doing this for 7 years, but I often think of myself as the young guy and as the newbie in the room, because everybody else I work with has been doing this forever at Hitachi, and just they're all willing to help you. Any question, I've never asked a question that somebody won't respond to, and that's the biggest thing. Like, you go to some places and it's very tribal. Everybody has their knowledge and they guard it. So it's real important to foster a culture where everybody is open and communicates with each other.
Yeah, I love it. Scott, thanks so much for coming on the show.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me. This was great.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as NZ365 Guy. If you want to like the show and you want to be a supporter, check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Thanks, stay safe out there, and see you next time.